Well, welcome to another edition of Throwing Shade. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of my history. I grew up in West Virginia, in the southern part of West Virginia, actually. And because I'm native to the state, there are names in this state that carry with them some weight. There's a panache that goes on with those names. One of those is Robert Byrd. Now, people know the history of Robert C. Byrd. He was in his early life a grand wizard of the KKK. In his later life, though, and I guess in his redemption tour, Robert Byrd actually was instrumental in getting the 1965 Civil Rights Act passed. And there's a story of redemption and unlikely heroes from the state of West Virginia, from Skip Gates, who is at Harvard, Leontine Price, who's a world-class soprano singer, opera singer, to our politics. Now, the 1960s in West Virginia were different. It was a big union place. Most of the people did work in the coal mines. People actually were able to make a fairly good living. And of course, Robert C. Byrd was the most popular politician in the state, and very nearly in the country, in that he held the powerful position as chairman of the committee that would disseminate all the awards and grants and gifts that were given out to all of the states in the country. But Joe Manchin grew up in that. Now, Joe Manchin was a football player. That was his dream. He actually played football and got a full ride scholarship to play for West Virginia University. So if I were going to give this shade a title, it would be Blocking, Tackling, and the Art of Sport in Politics, because essentially Joe Manchin learned from what he learned in the gridiron on the football field. He translated that. He was able to translate that to his political career. So he spent some time as the governor of West Virginia. Now, someone had essentially plowed the road for him, as we say in the country. James Manchin was a very popular politician, very eclectic, was known for giving out awards and certifications for almost every student that went to school. If you went to school in West Virginia, you knew James Manchin. So essentially the die had been cast for Joe Manchin as he stepped into that political arena. But he tried to stake his claim by being a guy who represented what most Democrats in West Virginia are, which is very moderate Democrats. He, of course, ran for governor, was in the governor's mansion. When he finished his term as governor, it allowed him to move into the political arena. And the thing is that blocking, tackling in the sport of politics, it doesn't bode well for the Democratic Party in today's atmosphere, when one of its critical elements, one of its critical representatives, is getting campaign donations from Fox News, as Joe Manchin just received. But it gives you an idea of how critical Joe Manchin is to the left and to the right. I mean, unlike the Democratic Republican governor Jim Justice, Joe Manchin does not change teams when it's convenient. He is kind of dedicated to this idea. The ideas were once represented by the Democratic Party, and he's even more dedicated to the idea of bipartisanship. And that's one of the things about Joe Manchin. He actually stands for something. His sermon on bipartisanship is the only one he knows, or at least it's the only one that he preaches. But the truth is, he's a manifestation of what we wish all of our legislators and senators were. People who are able to work across the aisle to get effective policy done, not based on any partisan politics, but because it's good for the country. And so he in Joe, we see a manifestation of what politics needs. Someone who's bold enough to tackle hard issues, someone who's strategic enough to tackle issues that reflect badly on the state and the country, and being a man of principle at the nexus. He is essentially at the nexus of competing extremist ideologies. And being in that place is not for the faint of heart. Realistically, his reelection chances, they're 50-50. I mean, if it's positive, it's just very barely, narrowly so. If he holds to his Democratic roots, which I'm sure he will, what he has exposed to the thinking population is the political effectiveness of finding the middle. There are as many extremists on the left, because I really don't care whose name or image is on the bathroom. That's not an issue for me. As there are on the right with these racist dog whistle politics that has demonstrated some short-term benefit, but the demographic trends that we see right now are very soon going to render the racist dog whistle kind of politics untenable in the future as far as political positions are concerned. But real effective policy happens in the middle. Real effective policy happens in the middle. It's that 3 yards in a cloud of dust, essentially, to steal another football metaphor. But we need to quit castigating Joe Manchin and really start emulating him. Now, I get it. People want to do it with a filibuster because right now the legislation on voting rights is critical. But even in that regard, we still have to bear some responsibility. If we want policy that is not at the mercy of political whims, the barriers being thrown up all over the country are ominous. I get that, but they're not insurmountable. Let's do the hard work of preparing the electorate for what we see coming down the road. I mean, let's do the hard work of preparation, because here's the thing. We can change the rules for a quick fix, but if we re-educate the electorate, that's a long-term solution to a problem that truly is not going to go anywhere. We win the game on the visitor's floor, essentially. We've got to learn to win the game based on their rules. And if we do that, then we will have policy reform, and we'll have power to reform policy. We have power to reform it in a way that's going to be substantive. Congress, the courts are shortcuts, I'm telling you. The idea of going through the court or going through Congress is a shortcut. It's a tenuous victory at best. But if we do the hard work of electing people who understand and appreciate our issues, then we can entrench those ideas of fairness for generations to come. If we do that, we can shine a little light, we can give a little hope, but we've got to make a solution or come to an agreement that is going to be sustainable over the long term. The shortcuts, the anger, the embellishment, the over-the-top reactions just aren't helping. What we need are solid, repeatable, scalable activities that secure the kind of policy that give us what we want and give Joe Manchin a break. I mean, really. Or not. What do I know? I'm just throwing shade. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in the weeks to come.